Welcome back to the Retail Initiative Podcast. I have a good one for you today. I have Kimmy from Kimmy's Boutique in Galveston, Texas. Kimmy, it's so good to have you here.
Hi, long time no see. It's good to see you again.
Yes, as always. So Kimmy's in Galveston, Texas, and last week we did a team fly-in. My team works all over the country, and so it was fun because we were in Galveston this time, and so my whole team got to stop by your store, and I got to get a dress that my wife is obsessed with.
Yay!
And so that was amazing. So before we get into it, tell us about Kimmy's. Like, what is Kimmy's Boutique? What should we know about it?
Yeah, so Kimmy's is women's fashion. We specialize in kind of bold, but good quality, well-fitting pieces. We're mostly clothing. We do some accessories, but we're very clothing intensive. And we've been around technically for almost 11 years, which is crazy. We took it full time in 2019, but so we've been dressing women for over a decade, which is wild to say, but I love doing it, and it's definitely my passion. And we have 2 stores in Galveston, and we are in the process of growing our online, and it's been great. So
that is awesome. So where'd you get the idea to open a boutique? Because honestly, like 11 years ago, you were yes, they were opening. That was a thing, but I feel like it's really blown up in the last 5-6 years, which I think is a good thing. What made you do it back then?
Yeah, so I just kind of going back to childhood. I was really close with my grandmother, and I was with her always just on the weekends. That's she was my best friend. She's who I hung out with, and we would just always go shopping. And that was just what we did. That was her hobby. That became my hobby. And so that was all growing up. And then when I got into college, I was in college towns. I was in Dallas. I was in College Station. And there wasn't department stores. There were boutiques. And so I started visiting the boutiques and just kind of started watching the young owners that weren't that much older than me. I was in my late teens, early 20s. And I was like, okay, so they're buying the clothes. They're picking things out. They're dressing their customers. And I just thought it looked really interesting. And then I started following Red Dress Boutique, Diana Harbor, and Randa, she had Southern Jewels at the time, which was really big. So I know she's gone a different route now, but those were my first idols. I would follow them on Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, I can do this. So in 2013, I actually made my Instagram, Shop Kimmy's, and my dad slowed my roll. I was still in college, and he was like, you have no money, no capital. How are you going to start a storefront? You cannot do this. I wish I wouldn't have listened to him, but anyway, that's a whole other story. So I did slow my roll, finished, got my degree. And when I graduated, I went ahead and just started a website, and I was like, I'll just do pop-ups. I don't think I can afford a storefront. I'll just do pop-ups. And so that's what I did. And I worked at a bank full-time too. And so I worked at a bank, and then I was a full-time teacher after that. But always in the back of my mind was Kimmy's. On the weekends, I was doing pop-ups. I had a website from the get-go. I didn't know how hard that would be though, without doing that full time. We'll get to that, but it was just always in the back of my mind. So when I got engaged in 2017, my future husband, which is my husband now, was like, you either need to go full force with Kimmy's or let go of the idea, because this whole we always have to get a 2-bedroom apartment because Kimmy's needs its own bedroom is not working. Let's do it full time. So I did take it full time, and then I got a storefront after we got married, and now we're here. That was 2019. So
wow. Okay. So what was it like? I love your husband's prompting, let's go all in, or let's get our chips and let's get out of the table.
Yes.
What was it that made you decide, all right, I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to do it. Because especially if people are listening that maybe they're in the early stages of retail, what was it that made you take that leap?
Honestly, the fact that no matter what job I was working, I was thinking about Kimmy's. I was scheming all the time. Any free second I had at my jobs that paid my bills, I was buying online, Googling strategies, Googling pop-ups. That's just what I always was called to do. So I was if I don't go for it, I'm always going to regret it. And I'm so glad I did, because I cannot see myself being a baker or a teacher anymore. But yeah, that was kind of just the fact that if you can't stop thinking about it, you owe it to yourself to go for it. If you can make that happen, that's so cliche, but seriously, because you're always going to wonder.
Yeah.
So
And so in those early stages, what did that first year look like?
So the first year of taking it full time, we moved to Waxahachie, Texas. That's where my husband's from. And I was doing like 3 pop-ups a week. So I was in the Dallas area and I was just popping up Saturdays, Sundays, Thursday nights, wherever I could find pop-ups, I was doing pop-ups. And I wanted to be doing more online. These are the days when I found out how hard online was. Like, it's not just, oh, let's pop up a cheap website that I did myself and I'll just sell millions a month. Like that's just not how it is. And so I had to do those pop-ups too. Like that was my bread and butter. But yeah, it was a lot of pop-ups. I wanted it to be more online, but it wasn't yet. I didn't have a very functional website. I did get a Facebook group, and that did early advice. I would say build community from the start, because the Facebook group actually propelled me forward, not having a very like functional website. The Facebook group helped me like build community and all that good stuff and get like customers, and I would do live selling, and it was just all in with that. But then in January, that was in June. And then in January 2019, I found my storefront and I opened that in April. So that changed everything for me, because then I became like more brick and mortar, kind of got more traction under my feet. And then, now I still am here, mainly brick and mortar, but still trying to continue to grow my online, which has taken off a little bit, but
yeah. And so if you could go back to yourself in those early years and give yourself a piece of advice, what would you say to your beginning of retail self, like really after you open your brick and mortar store?
I would say definitely to create community. Don't just wait for people to walk through the door. Have events, go live on Instagram, go live on Facebook, create community. Because honestly, just a small website you do yourself starting out is not going to get you what you need. You need to build that community first to draw people to that website. When you're new and when you're not running Facebook ads and when you don't have a very functional website, definitely create that community and create a customer base is one thing I learned in the beginning. I've learned so much more since then, but that was the first thing I learned. Like, I wish I would have gotten a Facebook group in 2013. Maybe I'd be someone else by now, but
you're exactly who you're supposed to be, which is true. Great. So what was it that made you, so you opened your storefront, you were in Waxahachie, which for those that don't know, that's like a town south of Dallas. We're both Texans, so we're very familiar with that. But then you got a store in Galveston, which is where you're from.
Yeah.
What did that look like, running 2 locations so far away from each other?
Yes, that was craziness. We actually just closed that location after 5 years this year. So another early lesson that I wish I would have known was more is not more. Sometimes less, actually all the time, I would say less is more. Sometimes spreading yourself thin and just having more revenue doesn't always mean success. You're spreading your time so thin, your energy is going a bunch of different ways, your head is in a bunch of different places. So that was crazy. I loved it. My husband, like I said, is from Waxahachie. I'm from here in Galveston. So we made it work. We were always going to see family anyway. We had such a good support system there and community there. So it worked. But once I started having children and like saying, okay, like where does Kimmy's want to go next? I had to kind of scale down. So one thing I learned from that was less is more a lot of the times. And, sometimes honing it is where you're going to take off for sure.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of like, sometimes like not cutting losses in the sense that it was a mistake, but there is the degree of, does this fuel the life that I want right now and the life that I want in the future, and being willing to let go of something, even something really good, because life is always like, you're saying yes to one thing, which means you're saying no to something else. I am letting go of this good thing to say yes to something that much better. Totally. And for you to be able to do that is awesome.
Yeah. Like our closing day in Waxahachie, like we didn't need to do, honestly, like a big clearance, like everything must go. We brought in all new inventory and literally almost sold it all. Like we had our best selling day at Waxahachie at our store the day we closed. And like we were bawling with customers. Like it was emotional because it like it was kind of like leave the party before it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like very emotional. It wasn't like we had to close our doors to like, save ourselves. It was like, we're cutting off something great, but also, we knew that it was going to propel us forward, and it really has, because Katie, who was our manager there, is now like my remote, like right hand man. And, she does so much on the back end that frees my brain up for like more strategy, more time with customers here. It's helped me with so much growth, and I'm so grateful. And a lot of our Waxahachie customers are great online customers now. Like, it blows my mind how many shop per week online. Like, it is amazing.
So good. Be honest. Were you a little tempted having that big of a last day to be like, what's one more day?
Oh, no, seriously. My mom was like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, why did you just do this? I was like, I don't know. Like, I was like, should we be open Sunday? No, it was like, when that happened, I was like, gosh, am I making a mistake? But I knew I wasn't closing for the money. I had to keep reminding myself, like, I wasn't drowning financially. I was drowning mentally, and the rest of Kimmy's was being held back, even though we were doing well. So
yeah,
had to let it go. But
I love that. I do. I mean, I know that like it all is a little difficult and all of that. So when did you, you were always, yes, like online's always been there.
We've always existed online, but
but it wasn't like the main deal, and not even that it's the main deal now, quote unquote. And I don't even believe in making it the main deal. We can get into how I think about it, but what was it that made you decide, like, okay, we really need to up our game in what we're doing online and keeping your storefront like this thriving thing?
Yeah. So there's so many. So it's weird, like you said. So we've always existed with the website. Like, shopkimmys.com has existed since 2013. First, it was just a Shopify theme I did by myself. Then we kind of got it redone-ish, and then what it is now, thanks to y'all. I would say it's hard to so we used Comments Sold for a while, and that was like our live selling platform. So then it kind of became like, okay, we do live sales, but like the website kind of got skipped over. And then my life changed. I didn't really like to live sell anymore, like be there at 8:00 at night. Like, I was like, this doesn't serve me. So we wanted more like of a website. We didn't want to invoice people. We wanted any content we were making, we wanted people to be sent to shopkimmys.com. But we realized in doing that, like, our website was like, it was okay. But like the button was a light color and people didn't always know where to check out. And there wasn't good search mechanisms and, all these things. So we were like, if we're not going to live sell or invoice, we need to be super functional to where this is just working for us. And I was never going to run Facebook ads to my old website. I just wasn't going to do it because it would have been a waste of money. Mm-hmm. So, so then, I started seeing people post about y'all and, how much it's changed the game for them. And I was okay, like, let me see what's up here. And so glad I did.
That's good. Yeah. I know my team loved working with you. It was funny when you were like, less is more. I was like, unless it's the color pink or a super bright bow, in which case I know for you, less is not more.
Yeah.
More pink is more.
Yeah, more pink is more. But when it comes to margins, yeah.
I love that. So what do you think has been like the biggest strategic change you've made over the last few years, but let's say even year, that's really allowed online to grow like it has?
I think we've talked about this before, and it is 1,000% finding who my customer was. Again, because as a brick and mortar store owner and also having stores in different towns, like my Waxahachie clientele was totally different from my Galveston clientele. So I'm buying for 2 different towns for all different kinds of ages. And I still have all different ages shop, but I'm still shopping now with one person in mind. And so it's, it's gotten a little easier to like talk to that person on Instagram to, market specific events. Like, it's hard to carry high school prom, high school homecoming type dresses and, flowier tops for grandmothers and then market all that online. It kind of repels everybody. Yeah. So definitely honing in on a customer has been a big game changer. And I did notice that when we started honing in on a customer, it didn't get drastically lower, but I did see some of our Waxahachie customers thinking like, oh, wait, what? Like, you're not carrying some of the stuff you used to carry. And And so that was an interesting shift too, to say like, okay, yes, we're getting much bigger order values in Galveston, but maybe a little less in Waxahachie because our customer was changing.
Yeah. And so how did you, it would have been really easy for you to like kind of get scared when those customers are like, wait, you're not doing this. Like what made you stick to the concept of like, no, this is our customer. This is who loves our brand. How did you stick to that?
I think when I heard more of like women who had just had a baby, like walking in and saying like, oh my gosh, I could wear every dress in here, and they would buy 6 dresses versus like a bunch of random people only shopping with us one time and buying one thing. Like when I saw those repeat customers orders get bigger and bigger and bigger. And like, I think y'all are the ones that told me this, like, you don't want someone to walk into your store and say, oh, I know who Kimmy's is. Like you want them to walk in and be like, oh my gosh, like y'all did this specifically for me. And so I started feeling more of that. Like women come in and be like, oh my gosh, like this is finally what I've been looking for. So seeing like even a few of those people come through was really like, okay, I'm headed the right direction here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like that makes my heart sing. Like,
but it was so scary for years to like think about cutting off certain styles or certain sizes. Like it was like, oh, people are going to be so mad at me. Like, and I have just like blatantly explained sometimes, like, I didn't feel like I was doing a good job serving y'all. So I stopped. Like, is what it is.
Yeah. I think especially for brick and mortar retailers, the challenging thing in making that jump that you've been able to make is like, we decide, okay, my perfect customer is 33. She is a mom of 2 and all these things about her. She loves Taylor Swift. She listens to country music, whatever. Like we're going to hone in on who that person is. I think the scary thing is kind of what you just talked about is then we start remembering, Susan visits and she is this and she spends a lot of money with us. And then there's this person and they spend, and we start thinking about all these nuances when really like there's a good chance that Susan actually just resonates with the younger audience and isn't remotely like a lot of her peers. And so if we try to look at a sales report and see 50-year-old women and we start accommodating that, we actually lose the very thing that they resonated with to begin with. I love the way you've been able to hone in. So how do you, like, let's say a retailer, and I just had this conversation in a recent episode with someone who's really had the same aha, but I have this conversation almost daily with someone who's like, I hear you on the perfect customer. I love everything else that you teach, but there's that thing. And you don't understand, Josh, like I'm in a small town, all the reasons why we're a little bit of everything for everyone. We're a mom and daughter store. Those are the most common ones. Mom and daughter is probably the most common. Like, what do you say to that person who's like, you don't understand. I could never just have one customer.
Gosh, I would say really dig into how much you are marking down. Like, let's get analytical. Like, how much are you marking down to accommodate those couple customers that might walk through the door? That's one thing I've really looked at this year is like my margin compared to last year, how much I'm marking down compared to last year, because we would like buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. And like, yeah, we might sell 2 of those, one of those. Now our sell through is like, we're selling the whole pack, quicker, faster, not having marking down. Like how fast are you turning? And also like, are you having to mark down as much as you used to if you were, to hone in? Because what I found is as I've honed in, things go faster and people buy more at a time. And I think that makes up for the person that would have bought that one time they walked in.
Yes, absolutely. So you've honed in on your customer and that's impacted, I'm sure, so many different things. What would you say is kind of that next big area that you focused on that's helped you grow over the last few years?
Yeah. So, definitely, and I'm not just trying to plug y'all, but seriously, like redoing our website, because now that we've honed in, I'm comfortable sending, people from other states that are our exact style to our website. It would have been off-putting to send someone there who we wanted to be our customer, but we weren't working towards that, or we weren't buying for that specific person, to, send them an ad in North Carolina and then come and then be so confused.
Yeah.
So I think, that has helped us in getting a website that's functional, that you want to send people to. Something that's just always working in the background for us. And that has been the website y'all have redone for us. And I don't think that leap would have been worth making if we didn't hone in on that customer.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely has to be like right things in the right order. You don't want to go and build this whole experience and, because it's more than just design. There's a ton that goes into a great e-commerce experience without that perfect customer piece.
Which is why I appreciate y'all teach that in coinciding with designing and redoing the website. Like when you're working with y'all, as you're doing that, y'all are having us fill out, who is your ideal customer? Who do you want to sell to? Before we go redo this website, like, tell me who you want to sell to so we can make it look like it's for that person.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
Yeah. No, I love that. So what's next for Kimmy's? Like, what are you really excited about in the future of the business?
Yeah. So since our website has been redone, we have gotten rid of, I forgot to mention, we used to have an app too with comments sold, then we switched it to Vajro. We got rid of that because it wasn't meeting the experience of our website. So we started running Facebook ads, and we've gained some really good traction there. Again, now that I feel like so confident in who my brand is and who she is, we just hope to really keep making quality content, really make style entire outfits, run traffic to our website, and just hopefully keep growing online, and then just hopefully that pulls people more to our stores too. We're 2 stores in Galveston, and we just want to keep working towards the experience of kind of visiting both stores and making it kind of like, we have people come down from Houston. They're like, oh, I'm making a day out of coming to both of your stores. And like, that to me is like, oh my gosh, yes. So more of that, making Kimmy's just like a destination in Galveston, both stores. And yeah, that's just kind of the goal. Just see how big we can take this thing.
Yes. Well, Kimmy, I think you are brilliant and very, very capable of doing it. What you've built is certainly incredible.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So I really appreciate you joining us. So people know, if people want to find you, whether it's to shop with you or check out what you have going on, where can they find you, your website and your Instagram? And of course, we'll put this stuff in the show notes also.
Yeah. So we are, shopkimmys.com is our website for those of you who are anywhere near Galveston. In Galveston, we are located 2217 Post Office, which is East End Historic District. And then on the west end of the island, 12 Avia Main in the Avia neighborhood. And then our Instagram handle is @ShopKimmys. And yeah, that's how you find us.
That is
hopefully
awesome.
We'll see you soon.
Great. Well, hey, Kimmy, thank you for joining. And for those listening, thank you. I hope this episode was super helpful for you. Kimmy's story. You did not ramble at all. Kimmy's story, your story is so good. And I think that there's a ton that retailers can take from it. So thanks for being here. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Retail Initiative podcast. If you want more free resources, trainings, downloads, you can get those at madebycapital.com/podcast. Again, that's madebycapital.com/podcast. And for those of you that are serious and really want to take the success that you've built in your brick and mortar storefront and you want to create that same level of success online, I invite you to schedule a free call with me, at madebycapital.com/schedule, where we'll dig into your business, like where things are now, where you're wanting to go, getting really clear on your goals, and what are the 2 or 3 things that might be standing in the way of getting there. Now, look, if we're a good fit, I'd love to share what that looks like. And if not, my hope is that you leave with clarity on where to focus for you to reach your goals. So again, thanks for tuning in. And as always, leave a review, make sure you're subscribed, and I cannot wait to see you next time.